just to use the power of the gavel, I will allow Honorable Toby to make a contribution, and then we'll move on, because I think the point is very clear.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Toby Okechukwu, and I represent an area of Woji River Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I want to first of all commend the minority leader for raising this issue. And it is very important because, Mr. Speaker, words have meaning. If in all the papers, particularly this day that I'm holding this morning, says 1 trillion wasted on constituency projects in 10 years, says Buhari. Well, of course, Mr. President would have been responding with regard to the information given to him. I'm a student of public policy analysis. I understand that projects or policies of government go through interrogation. But they must go through interrogation with truth. They must go through interrogation with facts. And if you say 1 trillion is released, it presupposes that the equivalent or the value of 1 trillion should be on ground. But, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the breach of the privilege of members of parliament is there is this supposition that this money is given to members of parliament. As legislators, we have our responsibilities. And what we do here is make laws. And when it comes to make laws, money laws, we do appropriation. And once that is done, it goes to the executive. The interrogation of the manner and way of execution is the responsibility of the executive. If they have not discharged that responsibility, it's the business. They should interrogate who the agents that are executing those things. We make laws here. We do not execute projects. We have the privilege of saying, look, please, my people are in urgent need of water, roads, or electricity. That is expected, because that's the reason why we are here, to know the pressure points of our people. But to come and say that this money has been, the value of 1 trillion is not being released. On the average, Mr. Speaker, we have about 50% on the average for the past 10 years that have been released. And when you look at it, the reason why you have so many abandoned projects in communities is the ineffectiveness of release. You award contracts, you are released 50%. What happens to the rest 50%? How can you complete them? Mr. Speaker, I know on the average for the past 4 years, 5 years, this government and this parliament has appropriated about 8.5 trillion every year as annual budget.
Yeah, let's stick to the 10-year average, since that is the subject of discussion. Not 4 years, 10 years.
Taking the 10-year average, we can be looking at a situation where about 7 trillion has been budgeted annually for the entire nation. Mr. Speaker, what that presupposes is that you have spent 70 trillion. 70 trillion in the past 10 years. If you multiply 7 by 10, it gives you 70. 70 trillion, and you will say, has that trickled down to Nigerians? The point I am making is that on this year's budget, I was the chairman House Committee on Works. On this year's budget, about 220 billion is budgeted for works. What they have released, Mr. Speaker, is 45 billion. If you are expecting a value of 220 billion as budgeted for works, you will not get it. In constituency projects, we have budgeted 100 billion. If you are expecting the value of 100 billion projects, in the field or in constituency, you will not get it because they have released only 30 billion. And those 30 billion has not even gotten to the agencies. So, Mr. Speaker, the real thing is this. In policy analysis cycle or policy process, you initiate projects, you monitor them, you evaluate, you eventually see what is the result. And in doing so, input and output cohere, they will correlate. And in this instance, if there is some information that is being given or is in the public domain and given to Mr. President, he will say, okay, we've got 1 trillion for constituency budget projects, but we cannot have commensurate results. They didn't tell him. They didn't say, look, they didn't budget, they budgeted 1 trillion, but they were able to release only half of it. So I believe it is very important. Zonal intervention, Mr. Speaker, is very important for people in this country. And I like the idea that it should be subjected to scrutiny in terms of making sure it is done. Nothing is wrong with it. And what we're aspiring is for a more perfect union, a more perfect execution of projects. But coming to do it in a way and manner that misinforms the public, it will be sad, because it will not enable us achieve the purpose of government. So I believe that going forward, it will be important that if we say 100 billion on constituency projects, we should release them and interrogate the execution on those bases. And that is the only way we can come in equal measure and say, look, we have performed or not performed. So I believe, and I agree with our leader, that, look, this information is not correct, and I would like the Committee on Ethics and Privileges to make sure that such information going out into the public domain is put in the right perspective. Thank you very much.